AI, or artificial intelligence. This is something many of us are hearing about today, but to some, it can feel unclear. To others, it can also feel overwhelming. And so this morning, I'd like to walk us through what AI actually is, how it's being used, and what it means for us. Today's talk is divided into 3 sections. The first part will be regarding understanding AI. Why is everyone talking about it? What it actually is, and where AI is used. In the second part, we'll be talking about the impacts, how work is changing thanks to AI. And then I'll give a demonstration of practical tools that everyone can start using. And finally, in section 3, I will be talking about the risks and limitations of AI, the ethical questions associated with it, and a Christian reflection. Over the past 1 to 2 years, AI has suddenly become very visible. We hear about ChatGPT, AI-generated images, and also there are concerns about jobs being replaced by AI. But the interesting thing is, AI didn't suddenly appear. It has been developing for decades through years of research and development. Now, in this slide, this is a timeline of the evolution of artificial intelligence. It started from the 1950s. It started as an idea. Could machines simulate human thinking? Researchers began exploring this idea, but at that time, technology was quite limited. Alan Turing, the father of modern computing and AI thinking, he proposed the idea of machines thinking, and he came up with the Turing test, or the imitation game. In this test, a human judge will hold text-based conversations with 2 participants. One, a human, the other, a machine. If the judge could not tell which is which, the machine would pass. In the 1980s, AI systems were mostly rule-based. They followed predefined rules. If this was the condition, you get a certain outcome. If that was the condition, you get another outcome. It was useful in some cases, but the system was not flexible or truly intelligent. Moving on to the 1990s to 2000s, AI started shifting towards learning from data. Instead of just following rules, the systems could find patterns from examples. As you can see here on the screen, you have different shapes, and then the shapes are broken up into different groups based on their shapes. And during this time, techniques like decision trees, support vector machines, and early neural networks were developed. Moving on to the 2010s, AI capabilities improved very rapidly, and advances were made in data, computing power, and machine learning, which allowed the AI systems to become far more capable. They started becoming much better at doing things like recognizing images, understanding speech, and working with languages. But during this time in the 2010s, for most of us, artificial intelligence remains behind the scenes. It was only more recently in 2022 with tools like ChatGPT and image generation AI that AI became directly accessible to everyday users. Once that happened, AI suddenly became visible to everyone. Today, AI appears almost everywhere in daily life, from communication, education, shopping, entertainment, and work. When something becomes widely accessible, the impact is much bigger, not just technically, but also socially. It also raises up questions about truth, creativity, work, and responsibility. What is AI, or artificial intelligence? When you hear the word artificial intelligence, most people would imagine something like human intelligence, something that understands, something that reasons and thinks like a person. But today's AI does not think like a human, even though it can produce outputs that look very intelligent. At its core, AI learns patterns from very large amounts of data and uses those patterns to predict what comes next. This data can come from books, from articles, websites, and many other forms of human knowledge. So, for example, if you were to give AI millions of sentences, it would learn the patterns in the language, and it also learns how we explain things, how we reason, and how answers are structured. So when you ask it a question, it doesn't actually think about the answer in a way a person would. For example, explain renewable energy. Instead of thinking about it, it actually generates a response based on patterns it has learned, and it predicts what a useful and appropriate answer should look like. And because it has learned so much from human knowledge, the response can be very helpful and sometimes very insightful. And this is what we call generative AI. It can generate text, images, and other content based on patterns. Now, this is very different from traditional automation. Traditional automation tends to follow fixed rules. That means if you were to put in an input, rules will be applied to it, and you execute those steps, and then you will get a fixed type of output. On the other hand, AI generates outputs based on patterns. So instead of following the instructions step by step, it will produce a response based on probability. If you were to give AI same input, it would generate different responses. In the first iteration, you will get possible response A. In the second iteration, with the same input, it will come up with response B, and then if you repeat that process again, you'll get response C and many other responses. And this is all based on probability. So it's choosing what is most likely, not what is actually true. And because of that, there is an important limitation regarding AI. AI can sound intelligent, but it does not truly understand the way we understand things. It does not have intention, it does not have experience, and it does not actually know whether what it produces or say is true. You can think of it like someone who has read millions of books and conversations and can speak very well, but has never actually experienced anything personally. For example, if you were to ask AI what the capital of France is and what it is known for, the AI may provide the answer on the screen, i.e. the capital of France is Paris. It is known for culture and history. But the AI has no idea whether this is true, and it has no experience about the culture and history that Paris has to offer. So it can produce very good answers, but it does not truly understand the situation the way humans do. Where is artificial intelligence being used? Most of us are already using AI every day. It's part of our daily lives, and it's actually studying and learning from our behavior. For example, in messaging, AI provides suggested responses in the messaging apps so that it helps us respond faster. In Google search rankings, AI is used to determine what results to show, which are the most helpful, and also in what order. In navigation, AI analyzes both historical and real-time traffic data to predict travel times and to recommend travel routes. Also, AI tries to predict what you're most likely to watch, learn, or buy next when providing recommendations. It's also used in more advanced ways today. It's used in healthcare to analyze X-rays and to detect tumors. In finance, it's used to monitor transactions and spending behavior to pick up any sort of fraudulent activities. In content generation, it's used to generate text, images, videos, music, and it's also used in automation and robotics to operate machinery such as self-driving cars or robots in factories so that they can operate with minimal human input. As it becomes more powerful, it's also changing the way we work. It's changing the way we work in three main ways. One, it's helping us boost productivity. It's also helping us to automate repetitive tasks, and it's shifting work from doing to deciding as a productivity assistant. It helps us do work faster and also reduces the level of effort required to complete the job. For example, writing drafts, summarizing reports, or generating ideas. Though it is a very fast and capable assistant, it still requires supervision. Another way it is changing work is through automation. For many of us, many of our tasks in daily work is generally quite structured, repetitive, and predictable. For example, when you go to work, the first thing you do would be to go through your emails, read them, and sort them out. Then you would go through your calendar to rearrange events, book appointments based on your needs, your deadlines, and your priorities. Another part of work is data processing. You would study data, extract what is relevant, and then you will organize it in a manner that is suitable for oneself. And finally, you use that data to provide updates and generate deliverables, outputs, reports. Yes, these are things we can do by ourselves, but now we can delegate that work to them. We can subcontract this work to AI. Things can get done much faster, more consistently, and also with less effort. In other words, automations handle the process, but the AI handles the complexity associated with this task. Finally, work is shifting from doing to deciding. In the past, people would spend a lot of time producing work, writing documents, preparing reports, and drafting emails. Now, AI to generate much of this, so there is less need to create everything from scratch. But because of this, it doesn't reduce our responsibility. In fact, it increases it. Why is that the case? It's because AI can generate outputs very fast and also of great quality at times. But it cannot decide what is right and true. So human judgment becomes a lot more important, not less. Now, I'll move on to the fun bit, which is the live demonstration. I'll show a few simple ways how AI can be used in daily work. First part of the demo will be summarizing. The second part will be writing. And the third, generate images. So we can use AI to help us summarize information much faster. And I'm going to use a document over here that you can see on the screen. It is How Artificial Intelligence Will Change the World. It's quite an interesting document. As we scroll down over here, you can see that it talks about how it will change the world, will it help it, will it hurt it, will it affect jobs, will it affect society, and the future, will it affect jobs, how many jobs will AI replace? And as you go down, you can see that there's quite a lot to read. There's also quite a lot to digest. And if you look at the bottom over here, this document is about 13 pages long. So depending on your reading and processing speed, if you can read very fast, that could take you possibly 10 minutes. But if you are on the slower end, that could take you even an hour to read it and come up with something useful from it. So instead of we doing the reading instead, we can actually get AI to go through that document and summarize it and come up with something useful from it. I'll enter this prompt into ChatGPT. Summarize this article into 5 clear bullet points in simple language. So I'll go to ChatGPT over here. I'm going to upload the document to ChatGPT to refer to, and then I will enter the prompt. Summarize this article into 5 clear bullet points in simple language. After entering the prompt, you can see that the AI has come up with 5 bullet points in simple language. Number 1, AI is expected to greatly change the world by improving productivity, healthcare, education, and daily convenience. Number 2, many experts believe AI will create huge economic growth. Number 3, AI is likely to automate many repetitive jobs such as customer service, reception, bookkeeping, retail checkout. Number 4, jobs that rely heavily on human judgment, leadership, creativity, empathy, or personal interactions are less likely to be replaced. Number 5, the article says people should adapt by learning new skills, improving communication, and problem-solving abilities. You can see that AI has helped us get a good understanding of what the article is about in a fraction of the time that is usually required. Now we move on to the next prompt so that we can get something useful from it. Based on this article, what should a working adult do to prepare for the impact of AI on jobs? We'll just enter that prompt over here. Based on this article, what should a working adult do to prepare for the impact of AI on jobs? As you can see, the AI has provided outputs over here, and it's quite a long list over here, but I'll read it out. Number 1, learn AI-related skills early. Number 2, keep learning continuously. Number 3, develop strong human skills. Communication, creativity, leadership, teamwork, emotional intelligence, and problem-solving are harder for AI to replace. Number 4, be flexible and adaptable. Number 5, build specialized expertise. Number 6, use AI as a tool, not as a threat. And finally, prepare for career transitions because some jobs may shrink when new AI-related roles appear. It's quite a comprehensive list for working adults to do. Also, it can be quite overwhelming. So why don't we get something easier to start things off? We can enter this prompt. Give 3 simple and practical steps someone can take starting today. We'll enter this prompt over here. Give 3 simple and practical steps someone can take starting today. We have 3 simple and practical steps that the AI is suggesting based on the article. Number 1, start using AI tools in your daily work. Number 2, spend 20 to 30 minutes a day learning a future-relevant skill. Focus on skills that AI cannot easily replace. Number 3, identify repetitive parts of your job and improve them. Look for ways to automate, simplify, or improve them using AI or digital tools. Starting from the beginning, we provided the first prompt to get a general understanding of the article, and then we provided the second prompt to come up with some actions, but it was still quite a lot of things to do, so we start small by providing the third prompt, give 3 simple and practical steps someone can take starting today. And so you realize that we are actually guiding the AI through these prompts so that it can give us something valuable, something that we can act on. It's not so much about the value of the tool, but actually the value really comes from knowing what to ask the AI. Now I'll move on to the writing demonstration. Let's see how AI can help us draft documents. And I'll enter this prompt. Write a professional email to a client explaining a delay in project delivery while maintaining trust and transparency. And voila, we have a professional email template that maintains accountability, transparency, and client confidence without sounding defensive. If we go through this template over here, we can see, dear clients, I hope you're doing well. I'd like to provide you with an update regarding the progress of the project. We have made steady progress, but we have encountered a delay that will impact the timeline, and the delay is due to whatever reasons. Rather than rushing the process and compromising the quality, we believe it's important to take the time to ensure the outcomes meet the standards. The revised delivery date is provided. We understand the importance of timelines. Sincerely appreciate your patience and understanding. Transparency is important to us. We want to communicate this update as early as possible. Please feel free to reach out if you'd like to discuss the updated timeline or project status in more detail. Thank you again for your understanding and continued support. You can see that the AI has given us a pretty good starting point for an email. But we can further refine this. One possible way to go about refining it is trying to make it sound more empathetic, more human, more warm. So we can enter this prompt here. Make this email more empathetic and reassuring in tone. The AI has provided a revised email that is warmer and more reassuring. Dear clients, I hope you're doing well. I wanted to personally update you regarding the progress of the project and be transparent about the timeline. Unfortunately, we need a little more time than originally planned. So it sounds a lot more human, more casual in this case. We understand that delays can be frustrating, especially when you may already be planning around the expected completion date, and I sincerely apologize for the inconvenience this may cause. A delay is due to this reason, and after reviewing the situation, we felt it was more important to ensure the work is completed properly and to the standard you deserve. At the moment, we expect to complete the project by this new estimated date. Please know that we are actively working on the remaining items and doing everything we can to keep the delay as minimal as possible. We truly value the trust you have placed in us, and maintaining open communication is very important to our team. Thank you for your patience, understanding, and continued support. If you have any concerns or would like a more detailed progress update, I'll be more than happy to arrange a call. So you can see this email has gotten a lot more warmer, but also it's gotten a lot longer as well. This email is almost there, but not quite there. We need something a little bit more practical. So we can enter this prompt, make this more concise and suitable for a busy executive. The AI has produced a revised email that is concise, but still maintains that tone of empathy, calm, and is also confidence-inspiring. You can see that there are far less paragraphs and they're also shorter as well. Dear client, I wanted to provide a quick update on the project timeline. Due to reason, we require a little more time than originally planned to complete the remaining work to the standard expected. We are currently targeting completion by this date and are actively prioritizing the final stages to minimize further delay. I understand the importance of timelines and apologize for the inconvenience. We value your trust and want to communicate this proactively and transparently. Thank you for your patience and understanding. Please feel free to reach out if you like any additional details. So you can see that from the beginning to the end, it has given us a good base to work off from. Using that as a base, one can refine it in the direction that one wishes to produce that document. But it should be noted that ultimately, it is us humans who have to take responsibility for the outputs that are produced by the AI. This is only a good starting point, but it's not necessarily the final output that one may utilize. Now, for the image generation, I won't be doing a live demo because the outputs will vary with each iteration, and the generation of the images do take time. In best interest of the talk, I'll be showing outputs produced beforehand. I use this prompt, generate an image of an owl sitting on a stack of old books in a library. This is what ChatGPT gave me. You can see that even with a simple prompt, the image that comes out from it is already quite good looking. But let's take it a step further. We can add more to this image. We can do this by entering this prompt. Generate a detailed, warm, cinematic scene of an owl sitting on a stack of old book labeled wisdom, knowledge, experience, and understanding inside a vintage library with golden lighting and a calm, reflective atmosphere. that it's not in this prompt. You're giving a lot of details, old books, different labels, providing setting and lighting conditions. Sounds like a very tall order, but here is the output that came out from ChatGPT. You can see that you have the same owl. This books, you see wisdom, knowledge, experience, understanding, and the lighting is on the warmer, orangey side of things, and it's also creating a reflective atmosphere. Now we can take it to the next step by adding something more subtle with meaning. And this will also show you how AI behaves. In this third prompt, add a subtle visual element representing wisdom in the background. This is quite a vague concept as well. Now, if we see the output over here, we see the owl on the books, and we still see the same lighting conditions. But if you look behind, you see a sculpture of Socrates and a wisdom quote saying, "The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing." The AI is generating an output based on patterns that it has learned from its database. But the AI does not understand what wisdom actually is. It is humans who give meaning to that word wisdom. What I've shown so far are simple but very useful tools that anyone can use. But there are also more advanced systems out there, like AI agents, chatbots, and also automation platforms. These systems connect different tools together, and they can carry out work across multiple applications. For example, email, calendars, documents, reports, and social media generation. They are more powerful, but they also require more setup and understanding. They're not always necessary for everyday use, but these tools can be very valuable for businesses. This is where I focus on. I help businesses identify where AI can add value and how to apply it in a practical way. So far, we've seen what AI can do, but it's also just as important to understand what it cannot do and where we need to be careful. Like any other tool, AI brings opportunities, but it also brings risks. So before we go into each one of them in detail, I'll give a quick overview. There are generally 4 key risks we all need to be aware of. Number 1, misinformation. Number 2, deepfakes. Number 3, hallucinations. Number 4, over-reliance. First, misinformation. AI can generate information that sounds correct, but it is not always accurate. Let me give you an example. On the left, you can see the Google interface, and a user has asked Google for the solution to cheese not sticking to pizza. This is the response provided by Google's AI, suggesting that the user add 1/8 cup of non-toxic glue to the sauce to give it more tackiness. It's quite amusing, but it also shows us something very important. On a more serious note, on the right-hand side, we have an article, Google AI overviews put people at risk of harm with misleading health advice. In this case over here, the AI advised pancreatic cancer patients to avoid high-fat foods. At first, you may think that sounds reasonable. For us to maintain our health, avoid excessive weight gain, generally avoid high-fat foods. But for pancreatic cancer patients, it's actually the opposite, because these patients often need a high-calorie diet in order to maintain strength. If one were to follow the advice over here, it would make their conditions worse. Why does this happen? It's because of the nature of AI. It learns from the internet, and the internet is not always reliable. So sometimes it picks up unreliable sources. For the first example, the source of that information was from a Reddit comment 11 years ago. As you can see over here. To get the cheese to stick, I recommend mixing about 1/8 cup of Elmer's glue in with the sauce. So that is how Google AI came up with their answer, because it drew from an unreliable source of information. How about the second example? In other times, it applies that information in the wrong context. So you can see here in the slide, some also missed out important context or nuance. They may suggest accessing information from sites that are inappropriate. We know that when AI summarizes information, it can often reflect existing biases, stereotypes, or stigmatizing narratives. In this case, that advice was due to application of information in the wrong context. So even it may sound correct, the answer may still be wrong. Number 2, deepfakes. Now, AI can generate highly realistic videos and voices, making it much harder to tell what is real and what is not. One of the early examples was during the war in Ukraine. There was a video on the left-hand side circulating, showing President Zelensky telling troops to surrender. Yes, it's fake, but it looks real enough for it to spread quickly. Even though this video was debunked within hours, it had already reached very far to many people. Even a simple deepfake like this can spread so far before the truth can catch up with it. But this is a simple example. They've actually gone much further. In a more recent case in 2024, a finance employee was on a video call with colleagues and he was instructed to transfer funds and he followed the instruction. But all those colleagues, they were not real at all. The attackers used AI to impersonate not just one person, but many people in that call. This is a real-time, fully simulated meeting. The result of that loss was over $25 million. It shows us something very important. Seeing and also hearing is no longer believing. This brings into question the issue regarding digital identity. They are no longer just online videos. Now they can actually influence events and decisions in real time. Third, hallucinations. This is slightly different from misinformation. Here, the AI doesn't just give inaccurate information. It's now creating information that does not exist, but presenting it out with such great confidence as if the information was real. We have an example over here in Australia where a lawyer used ChatGPT to prepare court documents. The AI generated the legal references, but some of those cases did not exist at all, completely fabricated. The lawyer included them in his filings without verifying them. And you may ask, why? Most likely it's because the outputs were so convincing that the lawyer just trusted the AI regarding its validity. And as a result of that, the court had to waste time to check cases that did not exist. And the lawyer was punished and he was referred for disciplinary action. Why does this happen? Well, it's because of the way that AI is designed. It's designed to generate an answer even when it is unsure. It recognizes patterns, but it doesn't verify the facts and it does not know what is true. It's designed to sound right than being factually right. Earlier, we saw how AI can generate quite convincing text, also convincing images as well. Now we are applying this same idea to facts. Even if you were to use AI and you get something that looks professional or it looks well written, very detailed, it may not be real. And that's why these hallucinations are dangerous, because it's not so obvious that it's wrong. And finally, number 4, over-reliance. As AI becomes more helpful, there is a risk that we rely on it too much. It's designed to make our lives easier. We can complete things much faster and it gets a lot more convenient. But over time, we may stop thinking as deeply for ourselves. There are already concerns about this right now. In a recent report, it highlighted that AI is weakening workforce skills, especially critical thinking and decision making. Based on the article, individuals may appear highly productive, producing outputs quickly and efficiently. But underneath, the ability to interrogate information, challenge assumptions, or make independent judgments may begin to erode. For example, if you were to use AI, when one becomes over-reliant on it, you may either just accept it in the first round, or you may just stop asking further questions to the AI to verify the validity of that output. When we start over-relying on AI, we start losing the ability to think independently. We'll just think AI is the to-go thing for all my problems. But that's the danger over there. If we stop thinking, then it's no longer us using the AI. It's AI using us instead. We have seen 4 key risks, and because of this risk, it is very important to verify the outputs that we are getting from AI. AI is a helpful assistant, but we should not treat it as the source of final truth. And even this raises deeper questions. Beyond what AI can do, what should we do? What does all of this mean for us? And how should we live alongside with AI? There are generally 3 questions we need to consider. First, regarding truth. When information is so easy to generate, how do we know what is actually true? Not just what sounds convincing, but what is real. Second is responsibility. When we use AI to make decisions, who takes responsibility for the outcome? Is it the AI system? Is it the organization or companies that develop the AI? Or is it the users? Number 3, human dignity. In a world where voices, images, and identities can be replaced, how do we continue to treat people with dignity rather than treating people as content? The issue is no longer just what AI can do, but how we choose to use it and what sort of world we are shaping with it. Ultimately, this is not just a technical question or technological question. It's already become a human question. No doubt, the situations we are facing today are new, but the underlying questions are not. Questions about truth, responsibility, what is right, and also human dignity. People have been reflecting on these questions for a very long time, across different cultures, societies. So how should we think about this? From a Christian perspective, AI can generate information, but it cannot generate wisdom. Ultimately, technology gives us powerful tools, but we are still responsible for how we use them. In a world where information is easily generated, truth becomes even more important. And even as technology advances, people are not just data and content. People have dignity. Technology gives us that power, but wisdom determines how we use it. There is a well-known line in Christianity: the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. In other words, wisdom is not just about what we know, but how we use what we know. And as AI becomes more and more powerful, wisdom becomes even more and more important.